In this video, we will introduce Open Educational Resources, or OER, to create content that is accessible to all users. We will also be reviewing Creative Commons, or CC requirements and best practices for using, creating, and adapting resources. To begin, OER is using resources that are part of the public domain or have been licensed as open intellectual property, and so are open for free use and revision by others. There are two types of OER: open license and public domain. Open license has an open copyright, but you must use attribution whenever you revise, reuse, or redistribute that resource. Public domain is a resource that has no copyrights, and therefore it can be used by anyone at any time with no credit or attribution to the creator. A very specific type of open license is the Creative Commons license, which we will cover next. Creative Commons is how content will be licensed and then attributed for future use. All materials used for this exchange will be licensed as Creative Commons Attribution, or CC BY 4.0. This does not mean that CC BY 4.0 license cannot be used in tandem with other attribution-only licenses, such as the Public Domain CC license or Adapters license. However, this does mean that other CC licenses, such as Share-alike CC-SA, No Derivatives ND, and Non-Commercial NC, will not be acceptable under any circumstances. To use CC BY 4.0 to create new materials, you will need to mark the first page of every document, left justified with 8-point or larger font for legibility. The CC BY 4.0 logo should accompany each mark and then be copied, pasted, and resized as necessary. To obtain the CC BY 4.0 logo, visit creativecommons.org licenses /BY /4.0 /. To generate a license for online offline content and to see a detailed description of how to make it work, please visit the CC license chooser. The following should be used in every license for new original materials. You may also use existing materials for this exchange. This will include both public domain and open educational resources, OER. One way to do this is to revise or remix existing materials. When adapting any existing resources, make sure that it can be legally adapted, provided that attribution to the original author is given. Material CC0 can be adapted without attribution, whereas materials that are CC-ND, no derivative, CC-SA, share-alike, and CC-NC, non-commercial, cannot be adapted without significant provisions in place. So use of these materials should be avoided in this exchange. Public domain and certain OER materials can be adapted as long as you give proper attribution. Not all OER materials, however, are public domain or CC BY licensed. Some materials are actually licensed under CC-ND, CC-ND, CC-SA, and CC-NC. So be sure to check each OER for its licensing and restriction and only use OER that are public domain, CC BY, or CC-O licensed. To mark these materials, first mark the first page at the bottom. There's no required font size. If you're adapting a CC BY resource, then use this logo for your adapter's license. If the adapted document is not CC BY but rather CC-O or public domain, then add the CC BY logo in addition to the logo in the document. If the document is in the public domain, then add the public domain mark to the front of the document along with your CC BY 4.0 license. This does not license the document to you. It only indicates that the work is in the public domain and free to be used and adapted. The following language should be used in every license for adapted materials. Adapted content is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license, except where noted. To view a copy of this license, visit creativecommons.org /licenses /BY /4.0 /.